The most dangerous fighter, pound for pound in boxing, Subriel Matías.
21 fights, 21 knockouts. No one survives Subriel Matías. His fists don't just land, they detonate. Step into the ring with him, and you're not just fighting a man, you're fighting a storm. Relentless, suffocating, unstoppable, and one man never made it out. This is the most terrifying fighter in boxing, and if you don't know his name yet, you will now. Subriel Matías doesn't just fight, he suffocates. The moment the first bell rings, he storms forward like a man possessed, drowning his opponents under an avalanche of fists. There's no room to breathe, no space to think, no escape. Every second, every exchange is a war of attrition, and Matias never takes a step back. His opponents wilt, their legs betray them, their gas tanks run empty, and their eyes, those tell the real story: fear, fatigue, hopelessness. Matias doesn't need a single knockout punch. He doesn't rely on one devastating shot. He breaks fighters systematically. He forces them to throw when they don't want to, makes them fight at a pace they can't handle, drowns them in deep waters until they have nothing left. Jab, hook, uppercut, non-stop. He's a human buzzsaw, a nightmare in 8-ounce gloves. Some fighters play it safe, sticking to the outside, looking to outpoint their opponents. Matias? He doesn't believe in decisions. He doesn't let the judges decide. When you fight him, there are only two ways out: get knocked out, or pray the referee saves you. One by one, they've crumbled, beaten into submission, their bodies failing before their will. Because once Matias starts walking you down, there's no turning back. You either fight for your life, or you get destroyed. Subriel Matías didn't rise through the ranks with media hype or a golden ticket. He fought his way up with blood and pain. Born and raised in Puerto Rico, a land that has produced some of the most legendary warriors in boxing, Matias wasn't given the spotlight. He had to take it. He came up the hard way, grinding through the brutal reality of the sport, fighting in half-empty venues, taking on undefeated prospects with nothing to lose, and knocking them out one by one. But even as he racked up wins, the boxing world hesitated. He wasn't marketable, he wasn't polished, he was too dangerous, too high risk, too low reward. And so, the big names stayed quiet. The title shots took longer. The opportunities had to be forced. But Matias never stopped coming. Fighting isn't just physical, it's psychological warfare. And no one wages that war like Subriel Matías. He doesn't just hit hard, he doesn't just pressure, he mentally breaks his opponents before the fight is even over. Some fighters impose their will with power, others with speed. Matias? He does it with inevitability. From the moment the first bell rings, the message is clear. You are not leaving this ring the same. He has no fear, no hesitation, no doubts. Where most fighters pace themselves, measuring their energy, Matias is already charging forward. He doesn't worry about what's coming back at him. He doesn't hesitate when he gets hit. In fact, he seems to thrive on it. Punch him, and he punches back harder. Push him back, and he walks through it. His mind is wired differently. There is no retreat, no second guessing. He fights with a kind of reckless confidence that makes even the toughest opponents question themselves. Some fighters start fast and slow down. Not Matias. The longer the fight goes, the stronger he gets. His stamina is a weapon, his endurance a nightmare. Opponents realize it round after round. He's not fading, he's not slowing, he's not going away. The punches that landed in the first round mean nothing by the fifth. The body shots that should have drained him only seem to fuel him. And by the later rounds, it's no longer a fight, it's survival. But the scariest part? He doesn't fight with anger, he doesn't fight emotionally, he fights calm, composed, and methodical. Some pressure fighters rely on reckless aggression, burning themselves out. Not Matias. He applies pressure with precision, with intelligence, with patience. He forces opponents to make mistakes, to throw when they don't want to move when their legs are already gone. And when he sees the moment of weakness, the moment where doubt creeps in, he ruthlessly exploits it. July 19th, 2019. Two undefeated warriors stepped into the ring, but only one would walk out the same. Subriel Matías versus Maxim Dadashev, two men with everything to prove, two relentless fighters destined to collide in a brutal war. From the opening bell, it was violence at its purest form. Matias didn't just attack, he overwhelmed. He hammered Dadashev with a relentless pace, each punch landing like a hammer against stone. But Dadashev wouldn't break. He stood his ground, absorbing everything, firing back with whatever he had left. Round after round, the punishment piled up. The swelling, the exhaustion, the slow drain of life from a fighter's body. By the later rounds, Dadashev wasn't just fighting Matias, he was fighting gravity, his legs betraying him, his movements slowing, his body shutting down. But he wouldn't quit. He couldn't. Fighters like Dadashev don't surrender. They go out on their shields. Then came the final bell. The damage was done. As he walked back to his corner, Dadashev's body gave out. His legs collapsed, his vision blurred, and suddenly, the fight wasn't just about victory or defeat. It was about life and death. Rushed to the hospital, doctors fought to undo what 11 rounds of Matias's fists had done. But some battles can't be won. 4 days later, Maxim Dadashev was gone. The sport calls it a tragedy. But for Subriel Matías, it was something worse. The weight of his fists had never felt heavier. The weight of that night would never leave him. Most fighters never recover from a moment like that. Some lose their edge, afraid to unleash their full power again. Others walk away from the sport entirely, haunted by the weight of what their hands can do. But Subriel Matías? He came back more dangerous than ever. For 7 months, he disappeared from the ring. The doubt, the guilt, the questions. Would he ever be the same? Could he still fight the way he always had? When he returned, the answer was brutal and undeniable. His comeback wasn't just a return, it was a statement. Malik Hawkins, Batirjan Jukambayev, Jeremias Ponce, each man stepped up thinking they could withstand the storm. Each man left broken, battered, and beaten into submission. Matias wasn't just winning, he was obliterating. But there was one name he needed to erase, the only man who had ever handed him a loss, Petros Ananyan. Their first fight was a war, the only time Matias had tasted defeat. It wasn't happening again. This time, there were no judges, no scorecards, just fists and destruction. From the opening bell, Matias hunted him down, battering him round after round. By the 9th, it was over. The referee had seen enough. Revenge wasn't just served, it was delivered in the most violent way possible. Subriel Matías wasn't just back. He was evolving, stronger, smarter, more ruthless than ever. And now, the division had a problem. Because he wasn't fighting for redemption anymore. He was fighting for dominance. Subriel Matías wasn't handed anything. No hype, no favoritism, no easy road to the top. He came up the hard way, fighting in small venues, taking on anyone willing to step in, carving his name into the division with nothing but his fists and his will to destroy. And even now, as one of the most feared fighters in boxing, the big names still hesitate. He's been ducked, avoided, ignored, because the truth is, Matias isn't the type of opponent that boosts a career. He's the type that ends them. No one rushes to fight a man who doesn't just win, but takes something from you in the process. But Matias doesn't need favors. He doesn't need politics on his side. He'll do what he's always done, tear through whoever they put in front of him until there's no one left to deny him. There's something different about Subriel Matías, something terrifying. It's not just his power, it's not just his pressure, it's the inevitability. Fighters step into the ring with him knowing exactly what's coming, an unrelenting storm of violence. They prepare, they train, they tell themselves they can handle it, but the moment they feel that first punch, reality hits like a freight train. The game plan crumbles, the survival instincts take over, and then it's only a matter of time. 21 men have tried to stop him. 21 have failed. They've backed up, they've clinched, they've thrown everything they had at him. And still, he kept coming. His pressure doesn't fade, his pace doesn't slow. When most fighters take a step back to recover, Matias steps forward to finish the job. Opponents don't just lose to him, they break. Physically, mentally, some never fight the same again, some never fight at all. And the scariest part? He's just getting started. The champions, the contenders, the so-called elites, they all see the same thing when they look at Matias. a nightmare with gloves on. A man who doesn't fight for points, doesn't care about decisions, doesn't stop until his opponent is beaten into submission. Subriel Matías isn't just a fighter, he's a reckoning. And for anyone standing in his way, there's only one question left. How much can you take before you break? There's a reason nobody calls out Subriel Matías. In a sport where fighters chase big names and easy paydays, Matias is the one name they avoid. He's not the flashy superstar. He's not the household name. But he's the fighter that leaves careers in ruins. Opponents don't just lose to him, they take beatings that change them. Some never look the same again, some never fight again. His fights aren't about skillful chess matches or tactical point scoring. They're about survival. Because when you step in with Matias, you're stepping into hell. And the question isn't whether you'll make it out, it's how much of you will be left when it's over. The storm isn't slowing down. The division isn't safe. Subriel Matías is coming for everything. Titles, legacies, names that people swear can't be broken. But Matias doesn't believe in the impossible. He only believes in what happens when the bell rings. 2 men enter, and 1 man leaves broken. If you think what you just saw was brutal, you haven't seen anything yet. The wars, the knockouts, the fighters who thought they could survive. This is just the beginning. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like. Let me know in the comments. Who do you think can survive Matias? Because right now, the answer looks like nobody.